Hi, thank you for being here today. I will share with you my journey to recovering from a TV and gaming addiction, how the process went, the steps I went through, and how the challenge I had to face through the whole thing. So, my name is Isabelle Therrien. I am Canadian. I was working for the government. I worked for the government for 21 years. I had brick and mortar business before that. And a few years ago, I retired from a Canadian government job. And during that time, well, before I retired, I was working from home because of COVID. And that's where I started to notice that I was watching more and more TV. And instead of having the transport to go through, I was sitting down during my lunch break and after work, and I would watch a TV show and binge on TV. And when I retired from the government, I noticed I was starting to watch more and more TV because of the stress I was going through. And about a year and a half ago, my sister showed me a few apps where you can make a few dollars by playing games on the phone. And I started to do that. And I noticed I started to do more and more of those apps and trying games and trying to make the most I can in a day. Although I never made a lot of money, I was, I felt I was addicted to it. It was hard for me to stop doing it. And I knew I needed help. It was just too much. I was beating myself up because I thought I was a procrastinator, because I was playing games on my phone or watching TV, and sometimes even a combination of both. And it was just too much. So, as a coach and a therapist and pranic healer, I have a lot of tools in my toolbox. So I started to use those even through the years. And I was trying to figure out what was wrong with me. And I was, instead of going directly to the addiction and removing the layers related to that, I was trying to figure out what was triggering it. And I was going in circle and I reached out for help. Even though I could do some healing on myself, I needed help. And I did. And I joined a few groups over a year ago, and we did a lot of healing on ourselves. And I received also several healings to try to work on different things around. I was not recognizing I had the addiction back then, and I noticed that I was watching a lot of TV, but I didn't realize how much I was depending on it. And I realized that I was watching TV because I wanted to run away from what was going on in my head. I had so many thoughts and fears about being self-employed and having to work on the different things like going on social media to promote myself. It was terrifying. Still is, but it's not as bad as it used to be. And with all the help I received and the work I did on myself, I was able to go deep, remove the layers. And do I still watch TV? Of course, I love watching TV, but now I feel I have regained some control, that I can stop when I want to stop. And one of the things I did notice that happened is I used eating as an excuse to sit in front of the TV. For example, if I was working on my business, developing programs and things like that, then my body would become hungry because when I was eating, I would go sit eating in front of the TV. So, in order not to leave the TV, my body was always hungry and I always wanted to eat something more. So, I gained some weight. I didn't like my body. I didn't like how I felt in my body. And I knew the two were connected, but I didn't know how to get over that. What I realize is I have I had to separate both, not to eat in front of the TV, to sit at the table, have my lunch, my dinner, my snacks, and then if I wanted to go sit in front of the TV and watch it. And when I was sitting in front of the TV, I always had my phone in my hands playing games at the same time. Like I listened to what's going on TV and I play the games on the phone. So everything was linked all together. And but as I went through the different healings and working on the different emotions, I noticed that I was less dependent on the TV to deal with how I felt, to stop running away from my feelings and deal with them as they were coming through, to recognize how I felt and stop beating myself up because I was working a lot on the procrastination. Yet it's not because I am a procrastinator. It's because I was running away from all the fears of building a business and learning new technologies that I was watching the TV and playing games on my phone. So by also taking the time to learn the technology, by reassuring myself about going on social media and to promote myself and to learn how to do it one step at a time, I was able to cut on the TV, to cut on the gaming time, and do something I love most, which is helping people. If I can think of one big lesson I've learned from all this is I went so much around trying to figure out what was wrong with me that I didn't deal directly with the issue. And with pranic healing, you can deal directly with the issue and it helps dissolve the underlying causes. So that is much more powerful. So that is the gift I can give to someone, not to struggle for so long as I did before I figure out how to get to the shortcut. If you need help, if you want me to support you on your journey, I'd be happy to. You can reach me at info@transformationisabelle.com. Thank you for listening.